Great. Hi, I'm Doug Klinger. I, along with Carlos, run a production company called Antigravity Academy. It is we do music videos, we do movies, and so we thought we would have a panel where we talked about how you go from music videos to movies and maybe, spoiler, back and forth. And so just a little info about what this panel is. This is part of the PROOF Film Festival. It's going to be an hour-long panel. Going to be some moderated questions by me, your moderator, Doug. And then there's going to be some audience questions, maybe like 30, 70. So I hope you guys came really prepared with a lot of questions because I got like maybe 20 minutes of them in me. No, it's going to be a great conversation. These are all great friends of mine. And after this panel is done, as I said, it'll be an hour long, we got to get out of here quick. So we'll move quick out of this space. We can hang out in the lobby. We can get a drink. We can talk. We can network. You could give everyone your business card. And yeah, we just keep the movie and music video conversation going. But to start, I invited some of my friends here who have done a lot of music videos and a lot of film and television and have had a lot of success in both of those art forms. And so we figured I'd just like make them talk to you guys. So I'm gonna have anyone introduce themselves because I've talked a lot already. Starting with Isaac.
Hello. I'm Isaac Bauman, and I'm a cinematographer. I've done 118 music videos and a lot of narrative. It's totally true.
I'm Emma Rose Mead. I'm a production designer. I didn't count. I meant to. It's up there, though.
She said like 80-something,
Yeah,
though.
but I think that was...
I believe that.
Hi, I'm Mimi Cave. I'm a director, and I've made some music videos.
I'm Carlos López Estrada. I'm also a director. I think, I mean, I did a lot of really bad ones, but I think it's up there.
What?
Like,
You trying to step?
not as many as you, but
Okay, good.
close.
Do you have to go up to like 150 just to round it out?
I'm
I feel
retired.
Yeah. Okay, good. Me too.
A lot of this is going to be just about the number of things we've done. It's going to be a very kind of numbered-oriented podcast. It's not a podcast. We're recording this. Oh, that's the thing that was on this paper that I didn't say. We're being recorded right now. You're probably like being recorded wherever you go in life, but this one, it's deliberate. And it's in the back of the room, and this might go on the internet as a podcast, so that wasn't a mistake. I want to start, because with the music video side of things, I'm curious from everybody, what kind of like drew you to music videos to begin with? Isaac first.
All right. I think what drew me to music videos initially was the accessibility of it. Short films and narrative in general, there's more of a burden in terms of the scope of the production with sound and sound mixing and all these things that are just enormously complicated. But a music video, especially in those early stages, is just the footage and the track that's already been made for you. So that really provides a platform that you're able to just jump right in, focus on the craft with the camera, and you have a finished product before you know it. So yeah, I had a 5D package back in the day. Whoop. And wanted to be a filmmaker, needed to work. So what was out there on Craigslist and through the connections that I had was music videos.
Emma?
I was drawn to music videos because that's what I was being offered. And I kept doing them because they're fun. And there's a lot more creative freedom, I think, at least for production design.
And who was offering? Like other directors, you were trying to break into film,
Yeah. It was basically like my friends in college. But I just kept doing them, and they kept getting bigger, and then I just kind of stepped over into the other realm of filmmaking, that is commercials and features. And
Mimi?
I got into music videos kind of by mistake. I was doing like experimental dance films and ended up doing one for a band, and then I go, oh, this is a music video. And then I really just loved how experimental I could be, and kind of got the bug and kept wanting to see what I could push and in ways I could experiment with the camera and just different things. And it felt lower stakes to be able to experiment and do that with friends and with like a lot of people also were trying to find their voice and their style.
Carlos?
I think for me, I was one of those kids who would come home from school and turn the TV on, put MTV, and then really leave it on until I would go to sleep. I did other stuff too, but most of the time there's MTV in the background. So I think music videos were just very much like a part of my DNA and how I first got excited about movies. I would watch movies, but I think music videos was the first time where I could like identify directors, and I was like, oh, these people are like doing something that I had never seen before and working all these cool bands. And even though they're like moving from artist to artist, you can see that there's a voice and a style, and like that was very exciting. And then I played in bands, and I started making videos for the bands that I was playing in. And then when I went to film school, I just started using all the stuff that the film school had to make videos for my bands. And then, yeah, same thing. It just kind of kept going, and here we are.
Now you're on a panel. I guess just show of hands, like who feels retired from music videos right now? Just Isaac?
Right now?
Like forever, yeah, retire. I feel like retired, like,
Just haven't done it
right.
Emma was retired, and we brought
I know,
her out of
I
retirement.
literally worked on a music
Like,
video that we're
2 weeks
doing.
ago.
My last 2 music videos were with Isaac.
And Carlos, right.
And it was like, that was
Wait, what did
the
you two
last
do?
4 years. We did a Katy Perry
Yes,
music
Katy
video.
Perry, It's Not the End of the World.
Yep.
She
Featuring
was
Zoe.
wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because you shot the hand up like so fast about being retired.
Yeah.
Are you're just done.
I am totally retired. I fully retired 2.5 years ago.
On Katy Perry. Or after
On
Katy Perry.
Ariana Grande.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason for the retirement? Like, that is contained within music videos, or do you just feel like you got the movie sauce now? And
It was. I mean, I did retire from music videos before I had the traction that I have now in narrative. That's for sure. It wasn't like, oh, I'm good. I was just done with it, to be honest. I was burnt out because I did 118 of them, and it just felt kind of poetic to really close that chapter in a definitive way rather than to do the never say never, maybe if the right project comes along. It just felt right. It just felt so beautiful and like spiritual and like good to say I am done forever.
like, I think I believe you, and I've known you for a long time, and I want to believe you. Actually, no, I don't want to believe you.
Wait, if like your favorite band called, you would just be like, no, done.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite band?
I don't have a favorite anything really.
That's like a whole panel already. I don't want to single you out too much, but I also that same question that Carlos said, like if the real, because I know that you really do get a lot of like creative motivation and fulfillment from certain music videos, maybe not necessarily big pop ones, you know what I mean? And so, is it not worth that trade-off for you, do you feel like?
For me, I guess the issue is not a creative one, it's an emotional one. It's a spiritual one. So there's just no creative that could interest me to the degree that I felt like it was worth going back on this very principled, reasoned, definitive conclusion that I had come to.
Yeah. I guess this is a question because I wanted to have beyond just directors on this panel, because I think that I'm curious if the conditions get better for everybody as you move into film and television from music videos, because I know that the conditions can be pretty dire in music videos, but we all kind of keep well, many of us keep going back. I mean, you've went back 120 times before you, or however many, whatever the number was. So like, you know, how does everybody feel about that? Like, are the conditions superior on these bigger kind of projects for everybody?
In music videos,
Or for like film and television projects, like, is it just like a better environment?
Yeah, and mostly because it's unionized. I mean, there's just rules. You just can't do what you do to people on music videos. I'm talking about everybody.
Yeah.
That said, I've been on a few union music videos, which are probably the most chaotic unionized sets I've ever been on. So
Yeah, it's almost like union music videos. Like they're like, wait, we have rules. What do we? It's
somehow harder.
yeah, yeah.
Indie features are no joke either, though.
True.
I think for me it was really nice. I got to make some movies, and I did a movie at Disney, which was fun, but also, you know, you have a lot of people telling you what to do and what not to do. And I just did a couple of music videos this summer, and it just felt so good to not have to ask questions. Sure, there's a label as an artist, but for the most part, you're kind of like having an idea, and a couple weeks later, you're just shooting it. And I think that freedom, as a director, for me, was like really, really refreshing, and I think it kind of like made me feel a little bit artistic again, like I could just execute on something that excited me, because I feel like film and TV just takes so long to do, and you need so much money, and you need so much time, and you need so many people, and so many approvals, and financing, and like it turns something very simple into a very complicated thing. So that's a reason why I think for me it's healthy.
Question. Follow-up question. So do you feel like you would perhaps utilize music videos as a way to like keep your creative spirit alive throughout doing all these other projects?
I think so. I mean, as I mentioned, I was raised on music videos, so I think for me they're very much like a part of my identity. But yeah, just selfishly, I think that there's something that's very healthy for me to. And also I did with my friends, and there's just like so many things that go into like features and bigger projects, and it's something nice about just calling Emma and calling my other buddies and just being like, hey, are you free next week? Do you want to just probably work really hard for a week or two, but you know, it'll be fun, and it's just us. And
Kind of felt like camp.
yeah, exactly. It was just easy, and I think that there's something really nice about that.
Yeah, I think that, like, you know, I'm part of what I thought I would try to do with this panel is like not have a binary between like, you know, music videos and film and television, and that you have to like graduate from one to get into the other, you know, and that there is the opportunity to kind of like go back and forth and continue to sharpen your skills in these different, you know, types of, in these different art forms. And that like, you never really, well, I'm curious from everybody, like, do you feel like you've mastered music videos? Does anyone feel like they've mastered the art of music videos?
Well, you know, every music video is so different. I don't think there's ever a way to master any type of filmmaking. You know, no one's mastered narrative filmmaking. You know, just look at all these great directors. Every one of them has, after doing several classics in a row, makes a dud, you know? There's never a true mastery of the art form, I don't believe. And music videos are no exception to that.
Does everyone feel like they had like a like a breakout moment when they transitioned from music videos into doing predominantly film and television projects? Starting with anybody?
I think my transition was so feathered, if you will. Like it wasn't, there was no clear-cut moment of like, oh, I do narrative now. It just sort of petered out. I mean, and it's still around a little bit. Like, I think the creative freedom that you talked about is a big reason why I'll never, hands down, say I'm retired. Because there's just, like, when I did this video with him last week, he said to me, I was like asking him for approval for something, and he was like, I trust you, just do whatever excites you. And that would never happen on any other kind of film project, except for a music video, I think. Well, no, that's not true. Features it would, but definitely not a commercial. Definitely not a short form thing.
What about like Carlos and Mimi? Do you feel like you had like a breakout moment, or into the space?
I don't really know how I feel in terms of that verbiage, just because I don't, the way it feels inside of my body, I don't know how other people perceive it. So it's like, I just was working.
Yeah, sure.
Trying to make things that excited me. And it's like, oh, now I'm doing it in a long form, which I always wanted to do. And isn't that so lucky? And so I'm just going to put everything into it. And I don't really know. It's kind of like, for me, I go into a little bit of a tunnel, and I don't really know what's going on outside of that.
And I definitely feel like I got to make a couple movies and then went back to do a few music videos, and it's really fun to use the new things that you've learned on something that feels so familiar. And it was really nice. Like, we shot this music video two weeks ago, and like the crew that we could get was just a lot more experienced than I was getting, like earlier in my 20s. And people are, they know it's hard, but they're just down to get their hands dirty for a little bit. So it was really cool to just like take a step back into a familiar place, but saying like, oh, I think we can collectively all do it a little bit better. And yeah, that was exciting. But it was also really hard, and some people worked harder than they should have, and like that doesn't feel great.
Do the stakes feel higher on film and TV projects?
Yes, definitely.
100%.
I was thinking about this coming in here. I was like, because I was driving over here and I was reminiscing about music videos and how beautiful it is, and I was thinking, one of the like top few best things about music videos for sure is how low the stakes are. It's like you can do anything, like, and if it doesn't work out, it's totally fine. It's like
Because it's a music video.
Yeah, you can play. Like, as a filmmaker, it's the most beautiful opportunity you'll ever have to just play and experiment and have ideas and take them and run with them.
I think especially now, if you're doing like big artists, big budgets, sure, the label there's like different types of stakes, but because the budgets are so low and people are aware of how much they're going to abuse you and your crew by hiring you to do a music video, I feel like there's this sense of like, you're doing me a favor and like, thank you for your time. I'm so lucky to have you. And that's just cool because, most of the times, yeah, you're making a movie and you have all this like insane pressure. Like, am I gonna fuck up? Am I like, I'm a terrible filmmaker. And here you're just like, oh, people are very thankful from the beginning, and they know how hard I'm working, and they're aware that this is like an impossible thing that they've asked me to do. So it's just like the vibe stepping into them is like already so much friendlier, I think.
I think the money thing is a big difference. Like, I never made any money on any music videos because I always waive my fee because I just was like, there's no money. I need to put this towards camera package and things like that. And so I never was making them for money because you really kind of couldn't unless you were like the top 2% of whoever was making videos. But I think that for me, that was why I loved them so much, was because of the low stakes in that way. And also I was like, well, I'm not here to make money. I'm here to play and create and take risks and fail and do all of that and kind of like get my arsenal ready for when I have higher stakes. And so it was all practice to me. Like, this is my chance to practice this form of painting. Like, anytime you're on set, it's like, as a director at least, that is the only time you get to practice. And so, I think it's just, that's how I viewed it. And I made a promise to myself that I would stop doing music videos the moment I felt jaded about it or wasn't having fun.
And did you?
I didn't, the last music video I did was 2019. But but that's just because life took another course. I haven't had time, but I would.
It's funny that Carlos, you think this, that you say that helps. Carlos and I are delivering a music video right now, and we're late, and the stakes could not feel higher for me. I gotta say, maybe I don't ever want to make a movie.
We got a text 3 days ago that said, "You have let me down. I am very disappointed in you."
We got way more than one text that said that. We got.
And then I spilled my guts and sent this like really beautiful apology email, and the response was, "An apology won't do this time."
But that
think
still
we both
feels like
forgot.
low stakes to me. Because you go, well, we're late for who? Who are we late for? The
I
music
think
industry?
I think Carlos
It's
and I
fine.
both forgot
It's
this
fine.
is being recorded.
Yeah, you put them on blast big time.
No, we're fine. We're doing 3 or 4 music videos right now, and so nobody knows which one we're talking about. We're late on all of them. So that's the best. Yeah, so I guess I would love to like hear about everybody's like, what I'm curious about, you guys talked a lot about the community in music videos, and that being like bringing your friends onto the projects, and you know, Carlos, that's part of why music videos are still so special for you, and that like you don't necessarily get to do that on like a Disney movie. You know, Isaac, maybe starting with you on this one, because I know that you've done a lot of like indie. You've done both, right? You just
a lot of indie, a lot of studio.
yeah, right. And so, do you feel like on those indie projects there is like, I don't want to call it a music. I do want to call it a music video spirit, but that's just because I love music videos so much. But like that community spirit, you know, do you feel like that can exist on those indie projects too?
Oh yeah, I think that is for sure one of the best things about doing indie features, especially when you're on location with a crew that's not from that location. What happens all the time is the bonding that you have, because you're going through so much. Making an indie movie is damn near impossible. Like a 20-day schedule, holy shit, you know what I mean? So it's like you're really in it with these people, and you're all staying at the same place, and you're eating breakfast at the same place, and so it's such a bonding experience. It's like those film crews, especially on indie films, they become like little temporary micro families, you know? That is 100% one of the best things about making an indie movie, and that's probably the main thing that would have me come back to do another indie movie, is just the idea of being in this like beautiful family unit with these other people and fighting for survival with them every single day, you know?
Is the food on an indie movie or on a big budget music video better?
A big budget music video.
How about a low budget? How about low budget v low budget?
It's similar. I mean, there's nothing worse than catering on either a low budget music video or a low budget movie. It's just you were in a hellscape.
Great.
I once had a sandwich on a music video that was brown bread on top and white bread on the bottom. And I feel like that says a lot.
I once had a producer step out on a music video. I think it was like 8 o'clock at night, and I stepped out of a van and I walked over to where everyone was standing, and I was like, "What's everyone doing?" And they were like, "We're having dinner." And I said, "What do you mean?" There were no tables or chairs, just pizzas on a lawn with the boxes open. So, yeah.
We
Things
just
have gotten
wrapped a
better.
music video 2 weeks ago, and Doug gave us pizzas on a lawn
Oh no!
for our second
They
meal.
were hold on.
They were
First
really
of all, that
good,
was
though.
not my call. Second of all, that's an extra meal.
They were on the table.
Third of all, I also brought Portos, and so I feel like that balances out a little bit.
Doug's great.
Fourth of all, you're welcome.
Oh man. Man, you called me out, and then I forgot all my questions. No. I'm curious if everyone can like tell the story. Starting with Carlos, like the story of your first film. You know what I mean, and you know, why did they let you do it?
Mine was directly related to music videos. That's because I made a lot of music videos for this rap group called Clipping, and the first video I did for them, they had $1,000, and very little time to do it. I remember hearing the song and hearing David, who's the rapper of Clipping, and just being like, there's something here that is really special, and like, I don't even know how. I was working at this production company called Doomsday at the time. I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna tell them that I want to make a $1,000 music video, but I think it'll be worth it one day. And we figured it out because I had another shoot that was not that big, but you know, it was probably like $20,000, and we were able to shoot them the same weekend, so we used the same camera and the same crew, and we put together this video that I'm like very proud of, and that started this creative relationship with Clipping and with David, and I did I think like 7 videos for them. The budgets did not go up very much. You know, maybe the second one we did, maybe they had $2,000. I think eventually we ended at like 17. That was the most they ever got. And he wrote and starred my first movie, so it was really just because we developed this relationship, and the movie was kind of like in the world, tonally similar to the videos we had done, and they didn't have a lot of money for the movie either, so they needed someone who was like starting and was down to just work hard. So that was like very much directly how I moved from one to the other. Yeah. How about you, Mimi?
I got my first feature. I pitched on a script, first script I ever pitched on, and I just kind of gave a presentation on how I would approach the script, and then I did not get the film. I was given to I don't know if I should say it was given to a little-known actress named Natalie Portman, and I was told she was doing the film, but thank you for coming. And then I sent a letter that said, well, if Natalie gives you any trouble, you give me a call. And then March 1st, 2020, I got a cold call from the producer who offered me the film.
Is that same one?
Uh-huh. So that was like
No
4
way.
months had passed, and I was in a cafe writing a music video treatment. And he goes, well, so what's your schedule like? I said, let me check. I think we're good. And then the world shut down like a week and a half later. And then, so things were going great so far. And then, luckily our script was really contained and could be shot in a pandemic. And so we were able to sell it a few months later to a studio, and kind of for a smaller slate film for them, and went to Vancouver and shot and lived there for 6 months. And there you go, off with the running.
Did you share your short form work with them? Like, did they see your videos?
Yeah, mostly my short films. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what they watched, but yes, I'm assuming they watched some stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of like right time, right place, right amount of persistence.
Well, what about you guys? Getting into your first, from short form into narrative, what was that process like?
I had interned and then PA'd on features with this wonderful production designer named Therese Dupre, and she recommended me to this guy whose son was dropping out of NYU to make a feature instead. And
What movie was that?
it's called Straight Out of Tompkins.
Wait,
Cool.
also, what was your movie called?
Blind Spotting.
A good movie.
Fresh. There we go.
I actually, believe it or not, I started out with a feature.
I didn't know that.
I
Get off the panel.
Yeah, I was in USC film school, and I had a ton of experience shooting stuff because I was really into filmmaking when I was in high school. So my short films that I was making for my classes just seemed more, whatevered than everyone else's. And this kid in my class kept asking me to shoot his movies for him, and I was like, why the hell would I do that? I'm a director. Why am I trying to make another director's shit good like mine? And he just kept persisting, and I kept saying yes, but really saying no. Like I was like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah. And but it never happened. And then finally he came to me one day and he said, I'm gonna shoot a feature this summer, and I'd like you to DP it. And we would shoot it on, like a Red One, which was new at the time, a fancy new camera. It's old now, but back in my day, kids. I just felt like I couldn't say no. I was like, I want to be a director, but this gentleman wants me to DP his movie this summer, and I'm gonna do it. And so he had raised like $250,000 or something like that, mostly from his family, and we started planning this movie, and we realized pretty quickly that we actually needed the summer to prep the film, because we had no experience. We didn't even know you couldn't just start shooting a movie, So we're like, oh, pre-production, right. I guess that'll take a couple months. And we ended up shooting the movie in the fall. We dropped out of USC together. We made the movie. And it actually did well. It got in a Redbox. It made a bunch of money. And I was like,
Redbox, the thing you rent movies from?
Yeah. Like we actually got a real distribution deal. It was like a
what's
romantic.
it called?
It's called A Beer Tale. It's like a college coming of age dramedy sort of thing. Very much what you expect a couple college dropouts to make. It's in the era, that era with like American Pie and Road Trip and that kind of a thing. And so I was like, we just made this incredible film. Like we're set. Like it's just gonna be from here on out. Like a few years from now, we're gonna be shooting for Martin Scorsese, basically. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna buy a 5D package just in case, on like the 10% chance that my whole career isn't just made already. And then I spent the next 3 years shooting no-budget rap videos for free.
So your career was made, is what you're saying. Like that sounds like.
Did you shoot
How
them on
many
the
times?
5D?
All on the 5D, yeah. Never touched Red One again.
How many times after a project did you feel like, okay, this is the one that's gonna rocket me up? Like, how many times did you have that feeling?
Well, after that, I kind of learned that you don't make a movie and just automatically become super successful. So I try not to make the same mistake twice. That's a big thing for me. And I feel like after that, I was like, all right, this is going to be a whole thing.
I'm curious. Okay, never mind. I'm not curious about anything. My curiosity has ended because it's time for audience questions now. Please, someone ask what I was just going to ask. If you guys want to line up at this microphone, this is the designated audience question microphone. Let's come on up and let them have it.
Hello, I guess this question is more for Mimi and Carlos. There's a lot of experimental films that feel like music videos, and there's a lot of music videos that feel like short films. And so from a storytelling perspective, what elements do you think are similar and what is more different that you get to play with between the two formats?
I mean, they're both short films and music videos, I would say, have such an experimental spirit to them because they're short and because you're not asking an audience to come with you for 2 hours. You're saying, hey, will you give me 5 minutes? And I think that's an easier ask. And so someone will come for a more crazy ride with you, hopefully. I think that it just depends on what type of short film you're making, but with music videos, to me, it's all experimental. It's really do whatever the fuck you want and see what happens. I mean, I think that's what's so beautiful about them.
And just I do think the story you were talking about, the visual storytelling. I think when a music video works really well, especially the ones that are music driven, it just forces you, or us as directors, to think about visual storytelling in very clear, very specific effective ways. And I did realize that when I started making narrative, I was able to understand, how to shoot a scene and how to tell a story and the beats that I needed out of a moment, because I've had all this experience just like making silent films essentially, like just trying to communicate stuff by just having people look certain ways and just creating images. So that was not your question. I answered another question.
I liked your answer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. My question was, have you guys seen anything recently in terms of feature films that have a strong aesthetic or stylistic sensibility that comes from music videos, you'd say? And if not, why do you think that's something that is lacking?
I think it's kind of cool that we are now in a generation of filmmakers who come from our background, from doing music videos and doing short form, and like the Vimeo generation, people who are like raised on internet videos and short form stuff, that are all starting to get bigger opportunities. So I actually think that there's a lot of work being done by our peers that is really exciting. And Daniel's just won 1,000 Oscars last year, and I think that's the best example of someone who like really used all of their learnings in short form and experimental filmmaking into like the biggest possible stage they can do. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the fact that they won the Oscar, like, that's the most direct connection, especially because as watching them come up, like, watching that film was such a full circle moment for me personally, just because I knew their videos so well, so I could see ways, like I could see pieces of all of their videos in the film, and I was like, oh, that's their style, because they had things that they created on their own while experimenting, making videos. So yeah, I feel like we're in it, and we're about to see more of that type of thing, for sure.
Their entire crew was like our homies that we grew up doing 5D videos with. So it's yeah, I think we're entering an exciting era where I feel like our generation of people are starting to get bigger opportunities, and hopefully there's a lot more coming.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you guys for speaking to us. I have a question because a lot of people, at least within my immediate network, they start with music videos and then they develop the confidence or the interest in doing a short film or something to that extent. Do you feel like there's a certain edge that you have, or a certain skill set beyond like technical or like just having on-set experience that carried over into your ability to do features or short films that you think your peers that didn't have experience doing music videos like that you have?
I think you learn to be really scrappy. I think that they are so fucking hard that no matter what a feature throws at you, you can probably handle it because you've been through the world of music videos. It just makes you stronger.
I would agree with that, and I think it shows in ways that you don't even realize, because especially, with all the things we do, each of us are the only person on that set with that role, so we don't, know how people before us were or whatever, but it's this interesting thing where I get that comment a lot of like my ability to kind of navigate either budgets or schedules and just be like, okay, well, let's do this. Like, I think it's a resourcefulness that comes in handy.
Yeah, I think it's the creativity, but also what Mimi was just saying, like knowing how to run a set. And that's really difficult unless you do it, obviously. And I think there's a lot of first-time directors who like do not have the experience that first-time directors are first-time crew people that don't have the experience that some of us who did music videos for 6, 7, 8, 10 years had. You definitely stand on a set and don't know how to run it, how to make a day, how to plan for coverage, how to communicate with a crew, how to deal with a budget, how to be resourceful. It's like, I don't have money, but I need to make this look amazing. Like, what do I do? And I feel like music videos definitely. I remember standing on my first set, and there was a lot of stuff that I had to learn, but I remember just feeling confident, just being like, oh, I know how to run this. That I made a bunch of other mistakes, but it's like I can make a day. I can plan coverage. I can communicate effectively with the crew.
Thank you.
Hi, Steph.
Hey, Steph.
What is some advice that was given to you when you first started out and that you still carry with you to sets and stuff? And would you give that advice to the future filmmakers, music videos?
Zach, we haven't heard from you lately.
Wow, advice. All of the best advice I've received in my life was from my father. It's just the opposite. I just need to do the opposite. So, at one point I had been struggling doing, very, very low budget music videos for very low rates. Like, I think probably not even the stuff that you know me for originally, like prior to that. And he suggested that he had a couple suggestions. He suggested that I go back to school. And that's when I knew that I needed to keep doing what I was doing. I was like, if my dad's telling me to go back to school, I must be on the right track, He also suggested that I become a PA on Star Trek so that I could meet J.J. Abrams, because that's how Robert Zemeckis got Back to the Future, by being a PA for Steven Spielberg. And I was like, Dad, thank you so much. I know exactly what to do, which was just completely ignore it. But it made me feel like I was on the right path by not doing that.
What advice would you give someone now?
My advice in general to people asking for advice is to find collaborators. It's because it's about the team, right? It's like, it depends on what you do. But if you're a director, you need a production designer. You need a DP. You want to find those relationships as soon as you can, as early as you can, and really foster those. Become friends with those people. Spend your time with those people, and keep coming back to project after project with those people. You need to build a filmmaking family, and you're going to grow together, and you'll learn together, and you all rise up together. That's my primary bit of advice, for sure.
I think for me, it was really important to start doing stuff and not wait for permission, because I feel like many times when you're starting, you're like, oh, if only I had money, if only I had these amazing opportunities, if only, good bands start reaching, and that chances are is not going to happen, and you kind of have to just do it yourself. And I think we're all here because we're self-starters, and we were like, you know what, we'll do stuff for cheap, we'll work with our friends, we'll shoot on 5Ds. And I think for me that was really important, to just come up with this like no excuse philosophy for filmmaking, of just saying like, okay, if we don't have money to rent a good camera, can we come up with something cool that we can shoot on our phones? And if we can't hire good professional actors, let me just look at my friends and family and see who can just jump in there and do the thing. And we can't pay for locations, so okay, let's make a video in my backyard. Like that type of mentality that I think really helped, because then you start getting those opportunities, and then you're a lot more prepared than you would be otherwise.
I have so many little bits, but I don't know how to put them all together. But I feel like what you were saying is kind of, I think that like there can be a lot of fear in starting to make your own things, especially if you want to direct. I think you have to just like face them head on. And I think that if you're someone who just really knows like deep down inside that that's something that you want to do, but you're like, will people take me seriously? Do I know what I'm